You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back for another episode. Yes, claps all around zoners. We are back. And not only am I back, but another guy's back too. But without further ado, I am your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., 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 and all the way from Woods and Shore Studios, back after missing last week, Paul Vold, the Shield. What's going on, Shield?
I have to reteach myself how to do a lot of this stuff, but I'm just so happy to be back on the show once again. It has been a whirlwind of another week. It's only Wednesday. I have no idea what's going on anymore. The governor's making announcements. I don't know what day it is. It's Wednesday, but it feels like it should be next Sunday already. But we've got the show. Lots of great stuff to come our way.
We've got a lot of stuff to take care of. And for one, the Timberwolves are drafting right away here. It's past 7 o'clock, so we got to keep you up to date. Zoners, who do you think the Wolves are going for? Are they going to trade? Are they going to just pick right away? You let us know. But we got to get rolling with some, as always, you know, it's a fun segment. It's Tater Tot. Ooh, wow, that's hot. Hot take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right. Zoners have already asked, what jersey am I wearing? I am wearing Karl Anthony Towns, the big meow.
Towns, baby.
We got Cat needs another playmaker on the team. So, Voldy, let's get it rolling. I know, and again, I know it's basketball. I understand that. But hey, you know, there's a lot of things we can talk about with this first pick. Like I put on our graphic here, who are they going to take? LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, Obi Toppin has been in talks too. So there's a lot going on here. So Voldy, I heard you want Joe Bag of Donuts on the Timberwolves.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Timberwolves are going to find a way to screw this up. So for the comedic side of things, they're definitely going to go with the likes of LaMelo Ball. But if they're smart, I think that they're going to go with Anthony Edwards. That's who I think is gonna happen.
I agree, and like I said, I'm gonna be keeping tabs on the Twitter sphere because I thought I could get the draft on my phone, but apparently my phone is being, just being itself. Like always, it's 2020. It's everything's technology's just not working. Let's just hope that Ecamm's working, going with this. But anyway. I want Edwards, okay? The one thing I do not want, and I know a lot of the zoners, there are some zoners that, trade Cat for anything. No, we're not trading Cat.
Handley.
We're not trading Cat right now. But I'm going to say that the Wolves have to look at this and say, what's the safe pick? The safe pick is getting Anthony Edwards, okay? I believe that's the safe pick, but if you want to trade the pick to get more picks, I hear that OKC's in talks right now with the Pups, but I don't know. I think, a lot of people are saying right now, barring a trade, according to John Krasinski, Johnny Athletic saying, expecting Anthony Edwards as the number one pick. I agree, and that pick could be traded. it could be traded. So I guess
It
we'll
very
see.
well could be.
Ball is the best pick in the draft by far. By far is a little much, Austin. I think by far is a little much on that because he's talented.
Little
but,
bit.
I mean, what does he bring? That's the question. All right.
Exactly.
Ethan says, I boldly predict that they will choose some basketball player. Yep, that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. Hey,
Very
man,
true.
If that's what you want to go with, yeah, sure. And then we got Will Rattel, obviously. He gave his insight. He wants James Wiseman, okay? And I wouldn't be opposed to it. 7-foot guy from Memphis. I think he would be good with Cat, but again, I wouldn't be mad about that. The LaMelo Ball thing, I'm not confident in it, Voldy. And the reason why I'm not confident in the Ball pick is because it's too controversial. And it's too controversial for a small market like the Timberwolves. And I just feel like LaMelo's going to say something, or I don't know, maybe LeVar is going to say something.
Definitely
definitely LeVar, as we've been talking about. But I don't want to go to that point of saying, I can trust LaMelo Ball, D'Angelo. And it's like, well, let's make sure that he doesn't crumble this organization. I mean, technically, it's already crumbled. It's the T-Wolves. We get it. But, again, it's going to be interesting to see. But the Wolves are on the clock. We'll keep you up to date. Some of our zoners chiming in here. Huntley says, Edwards is the best pick. Ball isn't worth our time, and I think he's a bust. I think so, too.
The one time we can all agree with Huntley, and that's a very rare statement within itself.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, Hunts, we're with you on that. And then Will Rattel says, Wiseman, please. And I think what Will Rattel is saying, too, is there's a lot of people saying, like, well, this could be kind of like a Tim Duncan and the Admiral, David Robinson, which would be
absolutely.
It would be very interesting to see, and I'm not opposed to it. Just like the Kerf Doctor isn't opposed to Arby's, I'm not opposed to Wiseman. Okay, but anyway, I want to bring up one more name. If they do trade, they're on the clock right now. Obi Toppin, the guy from Dayton. Okay, let me just go through a couple stats with you. Okay, Obi Toppin, he went, obviously a Dayton guy. I just want to rattle off a couple of things here, okay? He, from three-point range in 2018, 2019, he's averaging 52%. It went down a little bit in 2019, 2020. The curve, I have to put this up here just because, yes, Arby's and Wiseman. I had to throw that on there. Doesn't matter who we draft, we'll need to score 140 points a game. And that's true. We got to get some We got to get some defenders. And, if Cole Anthony's there, if they don't trade the 17th pick or if they move up, I think they could go and look at a guy like Cole Anthony. But, I'll let the zoners chime in here. Nobody can help the Wolves, not even LeBron. Yeah, we'll kind of we'll throw that. We'll keep that in our memory bank here. Wiseman doesn't want to come to Minnesota. He has already said that.
Well, there you go.
Well, who knows? Who knows? Maybe the Wolves are like, you know what? Psych! We're going to take James Wiseman. You never know.
Just to piss him off, absolutely.
Yeah, so let me...
I would.
Yeah. Let me get to Obi Toppin. 20 points a game. He's not really a facilitator, but I tell you what, just look at some highlights from this guy. He averages 20 points, but this guy is built. And I tell you what, if they are able to get him, defensively, they say he struggles a little bit, but if they look into a guy like Obi-Wan Kenobi Toppin, Star Wars reference for all the zoners, just kidding, I know, bad joke, but I look at this guy saying, I would not be mad if they looked into D'Lo, Obi Toppin, Cat, Okogie, depending on what happens tonight. But, hey, we'll keep tabs on it and see where it goes. But, Voldy, let me ask you this. If the Wolves end up taking Ball, are you more concerned? Are you more like, well, this is just this is just how it's going to be, and we'll see what happens. Maybe he will be good. I don't know. I mean, obviously we're leaning more towards, well, you know, we kind of can expect him to be controversial, but is there a chance that he can do well with the Wolves, maybe?
I don't know. I don't know if he can do well. We'll have to wait and see. And then the saying I keep throwing out is, trash begets trash. I mean, Ball's trash. Timberwolves are trash. It's a match made in heaven. Maybe this is – I've been talking about this with the Twins and, like, the Wild. Maybe this is what the Timberwolves need. They need to get a little bit nasty. They need some controversy in that locker room. They need to, basically wipe the clean slate of the, of the clean-cut, hard-playing basketball. Let's get some guys in here that are all about me and just gets after it and just all about me trying to get points and trying to get that bankroll. But I would definitely like to see this to happen.
We have breaking news
right
now. Voldy, are you ready for the breaking news?
Absolutely.
The Timberwolves have taken Anthony Edwards with the number 1 pick. Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Basketball, yeah. But I'm reading some of these tweets here, too. A lot of people are saying LaMelo got robbed. Yeah, I guess we'll see, But, yep, Huntz was right on it right away, too. So Edwards to the Wolves. We're all done. There we go. Hashtag M4L. Shout out to Southwest Minnesota State University. And looks like Austin's just not a fan of this. The end, he says. The end. But we'll see.
It's hard to end when there was nothing to begin with.
Exactly.
So just saying.
Exactly. Deal with it. And I have that graphic come up for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Nothing will beat Zach LaVine's reaction to getting drafted.
So true.
Oh, my God. But I feel like if the Wolves traded Andrew Wiggins, then instead of LaVine, maybe it would have been a little bit different. But, we'll see. But the Timberwolves draft Anthony Edwards with the number 1 overall pick. We'll see what happens. We'll keep you up to date if they move up or if they trade the pick. I don't think they're sticking with Edwards. And I think it's the smart move. It's the safe move. And let's see what happens. Anthony Edwards, he's a T-Wolf. Let's get it rolling. So, anyway,
we'll still got 2 more picks. They're at 17 and 33, I think.
Exactly. So, we'll have some updates throughout the show here. But anyway, we'll keep you up to date on that during the show. And, we got more to talk about because, Voldy, we got to get to the Vikings. The Bear Slayers here in the lower third. Voldy, Kirk Cousins gets his first win on Monday Night Football. It's just, I can't believe it. It's hard to believe, Voldy, but what were your thoughts on the Monday night game?
Look, I'm just happy that we can finally stop talking about that because in this day and age, everything has to have a number. Everything has to have a stat. I'm sick of it. Yes, 0-9 on Monday Night Football. Can't win the big game. Only won one playoff game, which came last year in the win against New Orleans, which was even more sweet of a victory as well. But now they can stop talking about it. Now he's 1-9. Get off the guy's back and let him just play the game. Yes, he was very excited about the fact that he got that win. Obviously, a little bit early on, it was a concern that the Vikings' rushing attack was a little slow out of the gate. Akeem Hicks and the run-stopping defense of the Bears really came up and played out well. But then towards the second half, when Hicks came out, that started opening up a little bit more holes for the Vikings and for the running game. Dalvin was able to get, instead of 3 to 4 yards, he was getting 6 to 7 yards as we were more accustomed to, and just slowly wearing down that defense in that secondary. Kirk showed up this game as well. Early on, again, it was a little rough. Couple of turnovers right away. Vikings get a couple turnovers back the other way as well, kind of going, tick for tat as well in that sense. But I'm looking at it here overall. This was one of the more gritty games that we saw out of the Vikings. Came all the way down, and obviously the fact that the Bears, shot themselves in the foot more times than not. Can't find any consistency. Certainly helps overall that they were able to, pull out that win and finally get a win in Chicago when they can just never get any calls or anything right going for any side of the ball there as well. Besides the fact they gave up a kickoff return touchdown to our guy, Cordero Patterson, Fear the Dread Super Bowl champ, Cordero Patterson. But overall, I was very happy about the win.
Very happy about the win. Hunt's, I was going to bring this up too, but Hunt's brought it up first. That offense for the Bears is miserable. Could any QB win with that offense? Honestly.
Rex Grossman.
Yeah, Rex Grossman.
Mark Sanchez. Caleb Haney. Josh McCown.
Jay Cutler.
What are some of the... Yeah, Jay Cutler, some of the other horrible quarterbacks that have been with Kyle Orton. How about that?
Kyle Orton, that's
some other
another
horrible
one.
Bears quarterbacks they've had over the years.
That's another one. Oh my gosh, that takes me back.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the game here, I mean, it's the way that the Bears played against. I feel like this was expected because the Bears are still a very, 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 very good defense. Okay, Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, Danny Trevathan, Roquan Smith, Fuller. The list goes on. Eddie Jackson. The Vikings did a masterful job, and I applaud Kubiak and the offensive coaching staff to having a good game plan in place for this game. And they were able to score points, and obviously there were miscues. One of the big miscues was the special teams, okay? Why are we kicking to a guy that we know is going to take it back for a touchdown? I knew this was a stupid idea at first. I was watching the game with the Curve Doctor, and the Curve Doctor's mentioned this a couple times. They always do that camera angle where they really zoom in on the kick returns, and every time they do that, it's always something. They always score a touchdown. I swear, it's either witchcraft,
especially when it's Cordell. Especially when it's Cordell too.
Right. So I'm like saying, Curve Doctor, you're either on to something or you're on something, and he was right. I mean, I can't believe the way that they have that angle, and somehow it turns out to be good because Cordero's running it back for a touchdown. And you should have saw.
The NFL is rigged. The NFL is rigged.
Yeah. But, Voldy, here's another thing, too. Zim was pissed, and I'm playing the soundbite that you told me to get because I want to hear what Zim said to Marwan Malouf. I believe that's what his name is, or the special teams coach, because he was pissed. He was so mad at him. But anyway, I'll continue in a second here. Former Gator Rex Grossman. Yeah, he was a former guy. I forgot about that. Vikings looking like a wild card. Hey, I appreciate that coming from a Chiefs fan.
Definitely, they're in the hunt. 3-5, baby.
4-5 now, actually. Let's see. All good. Justin Jefferson has filled Diggs' shoes, no problem now. Slick Rick, I'm telling you, Slick Rick. ESPN witchcraft. It's true. It's true. Curve Doctor. I don't know what it is. Every time they do that angle. So, it's very interesting. Oh, here's another one. Knowing Dylan, he's on something. I don't know. I think that's something to look into. But the game plan was great. Dalvin, he fought for those yards, and he wasn't afraid of those guys. He was talking back and forth with the linebackers, Akeem Hicks, and everything like that. And when he got hurt, he had his spurts and everything like that. But Voldy, how about Justin Jefferson? Over 100 yards. I'm telling you right now, Voldy, he is the best rookie wide receiver in the NFL right now. Just saying. So, Voldy, let me ask you this. What were your thoughts on Jefferson's play and just kind of, the game coming up here against Dallas? What do you think?
Yeah, obviously Jefferson has been a real bright spot. I mean, even going into the year too, there are a lot of expectations out of him to be, that number 2 guy. But, honestly, we're getting into the point now where it's coming to a 1A and a 1B situation with him and with Thielen as well. Obviously, sliding right into those shoes of that were left by, Stephon Diggs, and he's handled it really well. Speaking of the fact that he was going to be, one of those top guys on the offense. Speaking of the fact that, we haven't seen or heard anything out of Tajay Sharp. Remember him?
Yeah.
Remember when we signed him, from the Titans, and he was supposed to be one of those guys to slip right in. Haven't seen anything out of him.
Inactive
Haven't
every
heard
game.
anything for all of BC Johnson as of late as well. I mean, Justin Jefferson has been playing really good to start off this year. I mean, I have no problem calling him the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year right now. We still got probably 7 weeks left in the season. It's going to be an interesting matchup going against Dallas. Obviously, you look at the fact that they're hurting. They're hurt a lot. They're down to their fourth quarterback. I think Andy Dalton is scheduled to maybe get some playing time this Sunday as well. He's coming back from that that scary hit that he had against Washington. And you don't want to take anything lightly. Obviously, the fact the Vikings are coming in, winning 3 straight, you don't want to say this is going to be a cakewalk, because Dallas will sneak up right up on you. They'll put up easily 30 points if they wanted to. If Zeke Elliott's got his game going, if CeeDee Lamb's going as well, don't forget they got Amari Cooper as well. That defense, obviously, they're giving up the most yards per game this in the entire NFL. They've got some playmakers though, and obviously this is not going to be an easy one. Like the Vikings aren't going to be a one-sided favorite in this one. They want to be able to play that role as they were against Green Bay. As the way that Dallas is going to be coming into this one, they're going to be taking the role of the Vikings as the Vikings were against Green Bay, looking to come in and get a big upset and get a real nice team victory. So I think overall, the Vikings got a really good shot against Dallas. It's just going to come down to staying within the game plan and don't let the numbers speak for themselves. You got to go out and still play.
Right, and we know what happened the last time the Vikings overlooked an opponent, and they've done this in the past too. Atlanta this year, and then obviously with the Bills from 2 years ago, I think it was. So You got to look at this Dallas team, and Zeke's still on the team. He's still a beast. They got to make sure that he's not going off, because they could control the game. We need to get the ball in Dalvin's hands early and often, and I think they'll do that. Get pressure on Dalton, and I've been very impressed by DJ Wanham. He got another sack in Chicago, which is really good. And that Seattle offensive line is banged up. Tyron Smith's gone. Frederick, I think, retired or something like that. Zach Martin.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, they're in shambles. So you need to beat this team.
Yep.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I think Hunt's mentioned Ezra Cleveland. Now all of a sudden the guard play has been fantastic. Dakota Dozier has struggled a little bit. Mikey and I talked about this last week too, and it's very comparable right now, and they're opening holes. It was tough against the Bears, but you're playing the Bears. They're very good against the run, obviously with the pass rush. Adam Thielen had 2 touchdowns too. We can't forget that as well. Had a couple drops, but he did play well. He's Adam Thielen. You can't get rid of him. He's just that good. But yeah, you got to look at this game versus Dallas. You got to go out and just say, okay, we need to have a good week of practice. No one can track COVID or anything like that, please. And just make sure that, we're getting the job done. They're on a really big winning streak right now, so let's keep it going. Let's see what happens here, because now Gladney's starting to get it. Harry the Hitman, again, is just leading by example. And the young guys like Gladney, Wanham, all these guys are coming together, and they're really starting to get into the flow of the NFL game. So let's see what happens coming up. And again, the Vikings are in good shape right now, because they play not only the Cowboys, they play the Panthers coming up against Teddy B. That'll be a good game though. But it's a winnable game, and the Jaguars, okay? Get on this 3-game stretch and kick some butt. That's all I'm asking. So we'll see what happens. But, obviously I think we'll pick the Vikings to win, so that's for sure. But anyway, we got to move on because, Voldy, we need to go back to the Temple of Wisdom. You have a lot to talk about here for virtues, so let's get it rolling with some Voldy's virtues.
He has emerged from the Temple of Wisdom. Gather round for Voldy's virtues.
Yes, gather round for Voldy's virtues. Voldy, we are in the Temple of Wisdom. You have a lot to talk about. It's called Call to the Hall. So, Voldy, enlighten us with your knowledge.
Yes, since last time that we did Voldy's virtues, didn't get off to a very good start. But this time we're talking about the good stuff. The 2021 Major League Baseball Hall of Fame ballots were released back on Monday. And there's a lot of surprising and familiar faces that are added to this year's ballot, and some guys that are holding over from the past few years as well. We're going to dive into some of the new guys, some of the old guys, and who I think should be going into the Hall of Fame on my 2021 Hall of Fame ballot. Starting with the new faces, guys that are eligible in their first year on the ballot. A lot of familiar names to those Twins fans out there. We start with the likes of legendary former center fielder, face of the franchise, Torrey Hunter was named to the ballot, of course, meeting the requirement of making it to the Hall of Fame ballot. Then we go with other guys like Barry Zito, legendary pitcher in his own right as well. Former right-hander Tim Hudson. Then we get former Twins killer Mark Burley for the Chicago White Sox in his time, then also pitched with Toronto towards the tail end of his career. A.J. Burnett, former Marlin, former Yankee as well, former Pittsburgh Pirate. Then we get former journeyman Dan Herron also joining the Hall of Fame ballot this year. Former Twin LaTroy Hawkins and current, analyst as well for some of the Twins broadcasts. Ramos Ramirez, former Chicago Cub in his time as well, with a few other teams as well, but most notably with the Cubs. Former Minnesota Twin Michael Kadire also making the ballot this year. Then we get former New York Yankee, played with the Indians, played with the A's, played with the White Sox. Nick Swisher, a little bit of a utility guy. And then Shane Victorino, the flying Hawaiian, 2-time World Series champion with Philadelphia, with the Red Sox as well, also on the ballot as well. A really strong core of players up and down the lineup to fill out multiple All-Star teams, multiple Gold Gloves, multiple Silver Sluggers, multiple Cy Young winners as well, and guys that were strong in and out of the lineup as well. Then we take a look at the guys that are still on the ballot as of late. The holdovers from the last couple of years. You get former Yankee, former Astro, Andy Pettitte that is on the ballot. Then you get a former closer in the likes of Billy Wagner, former first base stalwart and Silver Slugger Todd Helton, formerly of the Colorado Rockies. You get former second baseman Jeff Kent, who's got more problems than not. Former third baseman Scott Rowland. You get a former outfielder that was steady with the bat and with the glove, and Bobby Abreu. Former Gold Glove and former, at one point, he was the face of Major League Baseball in his very brief but impactful career. Andrew Jones was a guy that's still on the Hall of Fame ballot. Then you get Manny Ramirez, and then you round it off with Gary Sheffield as well. But one guy that was very close last year, joining the likes of Derek Jeter and Larry Walker, of all the guys that got into the Hall of Fame last year, one guy that just barely missed out. From the holdovers to the new guys this year, Curt Schilling, a Hall of Fame career, multiple-time World Series champion, and still one of the most gutty performances in all of postseason history. Game 6, 2004, ALCS, the bloody sock game against the New York Yankees, finishing in third last year. It takes 75% of the Baseball Writers of America ballots to get into the Hall of Fame. He finished at 70% last year. Now, this is coming off the last couple of years where guys weren't voting for him because of his, outlandish comments, his dealings on social media, and everything in between. Guys weren't voting for him strictly out of that. they were taking that into account and not his career as well. Curt Schilling, in my mind, is a Hall of Famer, no doubt. If his bloody sock is in the Hall of Fame, but he isn't, there's obviously something wrong with the egos and, everything that goes into the Baseball Writers Association with their Hall of Fame ballots as well. But obviously, I think Curt Schilling's a Hall of Famer. We'll get to my ballot here in a second. But we're also talking about the big ones. Ones that have been on the ballot for some time. People still going back and forth whether they should be in the Hall of Fame or not. Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa. Now, last couple years, Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens have seen a dramatic increase in votes from the writers. Clemens last year was at 61%, while Barry Bonds was at 64% in 2019 on their 9th ballot. Well, I should say Barry Bonds was on his 9th ballot. I believe Roger Clemens is only one ballot behind. You get 10 years on the ballot, and then after that, you're out the door. And I believe that is how it is. But when you look at it overall, these guys put up outlandish numbers. Yes, they did take steroids. Yes, they admitted it. Yes, they cheated the game. But here's the thing. The game of baseball is literally physically impossible to play. To hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, you blink and you miss it. Now, take that, hit a baseball, hit it 500 feet over a fence. That's literally not even 1 in 1 million, not even 1 in 10 million chances of that happening with the physics, the swing of the bat, connecting with the ball, and hitting it 500 feet over the fence. Steroids doesn't make you hit a baseball any more harder than a guy. Well, obviously there is that chance as well that it does play maybe just a fraction of it, but still doesn't tell your brain to swing the bat, hit the ball, and then put it over the fence. Makes your muscles bigger. A lot of sports do that. A lot of other things can do that as well. Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds are both Hall of Famers. Sammy Sosa, looking at besides the numbers, didn't really contribute all that much. Maybe got a couple of glimpses, with the Cubs back in, obviously the late 90s and the early 2000s. But beyond that, Barry Bonds, a home run king. Roger Clemens, Hall of Fame career as well. World Series champion as well. Sammy Sosa can't have any claim to that as well. But, yes, I know 90 miles an hour is hard. Okay, I can't do that. Some guys can barely do that. 100 miles an hour, 105. Guys can't do that. But yet, still guys in the Major League doing that. But yes, also, too, Huntley did mention Omar Vizquel, another guy who's on the ballot as well. Definitely got my vote as well. But looking at it overall, steroids in baseball is one of those things that is going to be linked forever. You got to put the guys with the numbers in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame as well. That's a whole nother story. It's literally going to take maybe a couple more years before Pete Rose to even be considered a chance as well in the Hall of Fame, because there was this whole thing with the late great Joe Morgan. He was the head of the committee that allows the guys from the golden era of baseball into the Hall of Fame. Since then, Joe Morgan has passed away. Maybe it takes some time before that could even happen. A former teammate of Pete Rose as well. Here's my ballot. Here's who I have if I was a baseball writer electing to the Hall of Fame. I have Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds. I did put Sammy Sosa in there as well. Omar Vizquel. I have Torrey Hunter, Mark Burley, Todd Helton, Andrew Jones, Manny Ramirez, and Gary Sheffield. Those are the guys that I put on my Hall of Fame ballot. Yes, you don't have to use all 10, but I'm using all 10. Each one of these guys left an indelible mark on the game of baseball. You're asking, how the heck did Todd Helton do that? He was one of the most consistent all-star, pure-hitting players in his time. Yes, he played in Colorado. Yes, he hit 500 doubles in his career in a park where it's easy. You get a blue pin and it turns into a double. But he was one of the most consistent players on that team from the beginning of the franchise in Colorado and made baseball cool out in the Rocky Mountains, and is still one of the most respected players in that organization at all time, and especially at that position as well, where it was a logjam at first base in the National League for however long as well. Obviously, you throw other guys in there, questionable, like Manny Ramirez. Yes, he has the steroids along with Clemens, Bonds, and Sosa as well, but numbers don't lie. Numbers are what this game is about. Baseball's got a stat for everything. When you hit hits, home runs, batting average, wins, losses, earned run average. Don't give me wins above replacement. Don't give me defensive runs saved. Give me the pure numbers that the game was built on. Those are my guys going into the Hall of Fame. That is who is getting my call to the Hall with Voldy's virtues.
Well done. Well done. First of all, I agree with all those guys who are on this list, especially Torrey Hunter. Torrey Hunter is a Hall of Famer. No doubt about it. He is a Hall of Famer. And Schilling, you talked about, Schilling too. The outlandish comments, yes, and everything like that. But you know who also had outlandish comments is Terrell Owens, Theo. He's in the Hall of Fame. So like you said, with the sock and everything like that, Kurt Schilling, he'll be in the Hall. And I think it's hopefully, we'll see that soon. And then looking at some of your other lists, Manny Ramirez. I was a huge Manny Ramirez fan. I'll have to show that to you one time. But I was a huge Manny Ramirez guy. But we do have some breaking news, though, too. This is very interesting. With the Wolves, not to disrupt the conversation, but John Krasinski is saying that the Wolves are likely to trade the 17th pick for Rubio. 25th and a 28th. Welcome home, Rubio.
Oh, God.
No! Well, here's the Here's the thing.
Digging their own graves, Garrison. Attaboy, Rosas.
I'll say one thing, because we can't, we got to get, I want to finish up my thought, and then we got to move on to ARA. But he won't have as much pressure on him now as he did back then. So if he comes back, fine. But don't have him shoot the ball. Just don't have him shoot the ball, for God's sake. That's all I say. But anyway, Huntz was saying this too. Unfortunately, Pete Rose will make it in after he dies. That's true. I don't know, because, there's so many people throwing that out there. What do you think, Voldy?
Unfortunately, that's probably the route it's going to have to be.
Yeah.
But I would like to see it, the all-time hit king in Major League Baseball, go up to the podium at Cooperstown and have his few moments in the sun. However many fleeting moments are left in his lifetime. Obviously, he's up there in age. He's still pretty active. He still does some, postseason playoff stuff with Fox Sports when they wanted, a few years ago that he did with them as well. But I think it's got to be before he passes away, unfortunately. But, just the way the things are, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. And, I think he does. I think, he's done his, part. And obviously there's so many factors into it. But, the guy was a phenomenal player. And you can't, discredit that. So, but anyway, we better move on to ARA, because we got a lot of good ones here coming up on ARA, Voldy. And I think one of them involving one of our favorite guys, too. So keep tuned in, because it's time for Absurd or Approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it's time for Absurd or Approved. Voldy is back with his story. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, I already know I've got one boo-boo already here for Absurd or Approved. The lower third should not be NHL Goes Retro. It should be talking about Theo is out of the Windy City. It was announced earlier this week, as of yesterday, that Chicago Cubs Executive Vice President of Baseball Operations, Theo Epstein, is stepping down as the head guy in charge for the Chicago Cubs. Now, he announced Tuesday that he will be leaving the organization. General manager Jed Hoyer will be taking his place, following him over from the Boston Red Sox. Now, Theo Epstein, the architect of rebuilding the Chicago Cubs and winning that World Series for the first time in 107 years, which they did back in 2016. Now, it's been 4 years since they won that World Series, but a lot of holdovers still there. You got the likes of, you got Anthony Rizzo. You've got Javi Baez. You still got the likes of, Chris Bryant there as well. Kyle Schwarber also still with the team. Then, unfortunately as well, looks like John Lester's career in Chicago is also done. And then you get a guy like David Ross. He was a player at the time. Now he's the manager of Chicago Cubs. Now, my question is, absurd or approved, the Chicago Chicago Cubs, I should say. Let's not talk about the White Sox right now. Not right now. The Chicago Cubs, do they take a nosedive, absurd or approved, now that Theo Epstein is gone?
Ooh, now that is a very interesting question, because the fact that Theo Epstein was able to get them that World Series is an accomplishment in itself. And I look at this from other people, everyone else, and I think Hunts is, talking about this too, which I kind of agree with. That was the plan for a while. When you have Jed Hoyer, that the Cubs don't need to be worried about anything. They will be good still. I mean, it's hard to say, will they take a nosedive? I don't think so. I think Epstein's kind of made a good core team as of right now, but I mean, that could change overnight. I mean, that could just all of a sudden, go into shambles and everything like that. But I mean, the Cubs, this is interesting, because I think, what Epstein's saying, right, it came really clear we'd be facing some significant long-term decisions this winter, decisions with long-term impacts. Those type of decisions are really best made by somebody who's going to be here for a long time, not just for one more year. Jed is clearly that person. So they must have a lot of faith in Jed Hoyer. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. But I don't think they'll take a complete nosedive. I think they'll still be in contention. They're still a good team. But we'll have to see what happens. Mets brings up Red Sox bounce back after Epstein left. So there's that, too. The pressure that Theo was under, the pressure that Theo was under for 19 years, with taking over two franchises that couldn't win a World Series, I think he just needs a break. That might be it too. He might just need a break as well. So, I think I think they won't take a complete nosedive. I think he's leaving it in good hands for now, but that could change. So, Voldy, what do you think?
I think it's approved. I think the Chicago Cubs will take a nosedive. Here's my reasoning behind it. 2011, Theo Epstein leaves the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
2012 happens. What do the Red Sox do? They finish with a 90-loss team, worst season in franchise, certainly one of the top 5 losing seasons in franchise history. On the 100th season of Fenway Park, you trade away Adrian Gonzalez, you trade away guys like Josh Beckett as well, that had just dead money contracts and didn't end up going anywhere. Yes, the Red Sox did bounce back the next year in 2013, winning the World Series. They won in 2018 as well. But I think the Chicago Cubs are in a position where the nosedive may happen as well. Chris Bryant and Javi Baez, two guys that are homegrown stars with the Chicago Cubs. Javi Baez, a little bit pesky this year after, barely hitting 200 in the shortened season as well. Chris Bryant as well. When he's healthy, he's fantastic to play. But how much longer is that going to stick around? Anthony Rizzo as well, still hanging in there as well, to speak to the fact that he's, a Gold Glove caliber first baseman. But again, a lot of injuries the last few years. John Lester is on his way out. Jake Arrieta's not there anymore. You got a couple of interesting back ends of the bullpen for the Chicago Cubs. I think this year, maybe not a complete nosedive, maybe just not where they want to be in 2021. We'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see, and I think it's like you said, it's a wait and see game. But if I were to put money on it, I would say that they won't completely go off the deep end if we're continuing with that idiom. But at the same time, we'll see what happens. Chris Bryant will be traded this offseason. Ooh, wow, that's a big
there you go.
Prediction there. Hoyer has to make major changes on this team. I mean, we'll have to see what happens. I don't know. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we stick with Major League Baseball and more overhauls in front offices as well. The Miami Marlins made an announcement over the weekend as well, hiring the first female GM in Major League Baseball history. Someone who's got over 30 years of baseball experience as well. And my apologies in advance. I did not have time to research a whole bunch or even look into the fact of how to pronounce the new Marlins GM's last name. Eng?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
Kim Eng, now the GM for the Miami Marlins, led by, of course, the likes of Derek Jeter. Does have an experience with Kim Eng as well. They were together for 3 years in New York. Obviously, 3 World Series championships from 98 to 2001 at that same time as well. Taking over a franchise that needed a boost. And, well, sometimes you got to, like we always say, sometimes you got to shoot a hostage and make a point. And maybe this is the way the Marlins want to go as well. My question is it absurd or approved that the Miami Marlins will be contenders in the National League East this season?
Ooh, now they made the playoffs again this past year with this past 2020, and I just want to get to Kim Eng here, and I there's a couple. She's been in baseball since 1991, Major League Baseball. Okay, I mean she's a former White Sox executive. She was an intern and everything like that. She played softball. She has a lot of experience. And,
does.
Hunt's, I agree. She's a Grand Slam hire for the Marlins. They will be contenders for years to come. I agree with that. And it's not because it's just like, well, this is the first woman as GM and everything like that. Of course it's good. I think she's going to be fantastic. She has the pedigree. She has the respect of all baseball executives, and I think she can be a fantastic GM for the Marlins. Derek Jeter, took the word of everybody else and said, I believe in Kim Eng. And she is in full control of who she wants on this team. She's going to be working with Don Mattingly. And she is going to, she was even saying here too, like, the last 72 hours have been extraordinary for me. How many people have texted her, congratulating her and everything like that. But she will not be the last. And I 100% believe that. And it's got my stamp of approval. I think they will. I really do think they will this upcoming year. And Voldy, I think this is the start of a very good franchise now. Now, the question is, okay, now that you have it, now you got to make some moves, obviously. Let's see what moves you make. Let's see if they're good enough and everything like that. With COVID going on, it's going to be tough. But I think she's going to do a stellar job. Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, if the Miami Marlins can get into the playoffs, even in a shortened, everybody gets in the postseason situation with a bunch of guys, including a shortstop that was an Olympic speed skater, I think the Marlins are in pretty good position. They've got some guys there that are out of the minor leagues that, obviously the fact of the craziness that was the Miami Marlins season with up to 50, 60, even up to 70 different players seeing the field for them this year, one way or another, speaks to the fact that there is something to work with the Miami Marlins system. They've had some guys over the years that have made impacts, and they've had to trade them away because of big contracts and get prospects in return. So obviously, I think, she's got the keys to the penthouse right now, and she is going to take her sweet time looking at what is in front of her, what she can use on the field, and maybe move a couple of pieces to get some of these guys to fill out an entire move as well. So it's definitely going to come down from a standpoint to look at all the pieces on the chessboard, make the right moves, and make a serious run at maybe beyond the postseason, maybe look back to get into the World Series too.
All I got to say is watch out for the Miami Marlins. They used to be a laughing stock for a little bit, too. And, I think Derek Jeter is definitely they have that new park. I mean, might as well put it to good use and everything like that, But Kim Ng, she's going to be really good. And John Gruden said, I tell you what, man, she's going to kick some butt. But anyway, next one, Voldy.
So we go to the NBA as big trade on Monday featured the likes of the Phoenix Suns making a move to land all-star guard Chris Paul in a trade with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, you look at the details of this trade, and it certainly does make it look like one of those pieces in this trade coming back to where it all started for him with Ricky Rubio. But for the trade, for Chris Paul and Abdel Nader, the Thunder also got Kelly Oubre Jr., Ricky Rubio is now going to be a Timberwolf again, apparently. Ty Jerome, even Jalen Leck as well, and a 2022 first-round draft pick for the Suns as well. Absurdo approved the trade for the Phoenix Suns to find somebody to hang out with and maybe produce some more action with the likes of Devin Booker.
Well, they want to keep Book happy because if Book was still unhappy with the Suns and they didn't make these moves, he could be a Wolf. But I want the Suns to do bad. But anyway, it's got my stamp of approval. It makes sense. I mean, it 100% makes sense. You're able to get a guy, and obviously with Rubio now being moved to Minnesota, which I don't know how I feel about that, but it's whatever. It's fine.
I'm just surprised Munson hasn't come on and just started rubbing it in our face yet that
I'm sure.
Rubio's back.
No, now the thing is, Voldy is, he's laughing. He's laughing his ass off right now. I mean, crying emoji. He's laughing at me. And you know what? We'll see what we'll see what happens with Rubio. All I gotta say is he better not be shooting shots because we need other people besides him doing that. He can be passing off the ball. Do what he does best. But anyway, back to the Suns in the trade. CP3 has a little bit left in the tank. I mean, he definitely does. And CP3 did a great job with OKC. And I think the Suns are getting a guy that has the experience. He still has a lot of juice left, as a lot of people are saying right now. Cole says approved, especially with Rubio back. Cole, stop
there
it.
He is.
Stop
There's
it.
There's our guy.
Just stop it. But anyway, CP3, I think the Suns, CP3, Book, let's go. Watch out for the Suns. But again, it's kind of one of those things where if the Suns didn't do what they needed to do and keep them a contender, Book would want out. And the thing is he's really good friends with Cat. He's really good friends with D'Lo. But I'm happy with the Edwards pick. We'll see what happens. Voldy, you might need to take back to the hospital. He's going to have a heart attack over Rubio tonight.
Where?
Exactly. Well, Rosas, I believe Rosas knows what he's doing. So that's all I got to say about it. But this has got my stamp of approval. I mean, if this turns out to be Rubio's coming, I don't know if it's confirmed or anything yet. I think they're still in talks, but we'll see what happens. But it's got my stamp of approval. So Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is the right move that Phoenix wanted to make to try to solidify that they're investing in Devin Booker, and he wants guys around him. He obviously can be the guy for Phoenix for years to come, but obviously it helps if you want to win. You got to start putting pieces around him to help the team win and compete out of the Western Conference as well. I think this was a smart move. Chris Paul's been a guy who's been, on some good teams. He's been on some not so good teams. He knows what it's like to be that guy in the position where he has to go out and perform each and every night. as of late, he's been one of those complementary pieces as well to help a team get better in advance. I think this is a win-win situation, not only for Phoenix, not only for Chris Paul, but also for Devin Booker as well, to get a guy on the team to at least, kind of steer him in the right direction a little bit more, and at least learn a little bit more about the game, how to be a leader, how to, play the game in the entire way as well. It's got my stamp of approval too.
Right. And then, going back to the trade, a lot of people are saying, ripping me on this. I don't hate Ricky Rubio. I'm just saying he was supposed to be the face of the franchise, and he wasn't. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. In all seriousness, if this goes on, I think it's more about the 2 extra picks. Again, yeah, it's all about the picks. We had to take that salary to get those 2 picks. Makes sense. I think it makes sense. But anyway,
let's ride the sunset for Rubio.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
OKC though, OKC has a crap ton of picks right now, and they're looking towards the future. And stamp of approval for the OKC Thunder. On a brighter note, sweatshirts are in the house. Let's go, Jimbo coming through for us, our official sponsor and whatnot. So hey, next one, Voldy.
Yeah, we go to NCAA men's basketball, talking about some challenges associated with, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic. Considerations are taking place to possibly play the entire 2021 men's basketball Division I national tournament in one location. That one location, Indianapolis. Now, quite interesting to see. You take an entire 64, now 68 game tournament, and you slip it all the way down into one spot in Indianapolis. 13 sites become one in the preliminary round, and into the round of the opening round of 64 games, the 32 down to Sweet 16, to the Elite 8, the Final 4, National Championship as well. Absurd to approve the NCAA quite possibly moving the entire tournament to Indianapolis.
Well, I think how they looked at this, and I mean, it's got my stamp of approval, because how they looked at this with how the things went in the NBA bubble. They want to have it in one central location. And I'm going to use my idiom here. The fact of the matter is that they'll have them all in one location, and they'll be tested and everything like that. You have them all. I mean, the virus isn't going away. The virus isn't going away just like that once there's a vaccine. We're not supposed to get a vaccine until April, things like that. Don't want to get into it too much, but it's the smart thing to do. They have one central area, Indianapolis, Indiana. That's fine. I get that. Now, the question is let's have some protocols in place. It's the only way it's going to happen this year. Exactly. I mean, hit the nail right on the head, Hunts. I agree with you. And that's the only, I mean, if it was another place, then sure, yeah, that's fine. But at least they found a central area to where all these teams can come in and actually have March Madness. Having 2 years with no March Madness, it's not good. But, with the cases spiking and everything like that, and now people are, the restrictions are tightening up again. Now, I mean, you got to be prepared for it. And I think that's what the NCAA is doing here. And thank God they're doing that and not doing anything stupid as in previous encounters with football and things like that. But, yeah, it's got my stamp of approval. Only one way to get March Madness going. So, yeah. Voldy, what do you think?
I think it's approved. And Huntley also brought up a good point as well, with 8 arenas to play in as well. I mean, you could roll in games. You could get that thing done in a couple of weeks if you went just kept going with it. Obviously, it's a big money maker, so obviously it's going to take the full gambit of it as well. But an interesting tweet that was brought out by Rick Pitino, Iona's Rick Pitino as well, thinking that college basketball should be moved to a league-only schedule, but push the tournament back to May as opposed to starting it in March, finishing it in April to, quote, save the season. Yeah. That's a very interesting proposition because of the fact 1 week from today, we're talking next week, college basketball gets started, which is terrifying to even think about in the first place because they get started and they're like, lo and behold, it's already Thanksgiving. That's college basketball for you in itself. They don't even know when to start the season and how to do it correctly as well. That's a whole nother soapbox that I don't want to get up on as well. But it's got my stamp of approval as well. The bubble system did work. Worked for the NHL. Worked for Major League Baseball in the postseason, also worked for the NBA. And obviously, all those, leagues were able to crown champions. Why not keep March Madness going? Because I'm not going to lie, March Madness this past year, it was sad to see it not happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big college basketball fan, but I will watch any tournament game that you put in front of me.
Sure.
Because Division I men's basketball national tournament is must-watch TV. No matter what. And obviously they lost a whole bunch of money. They want to go deeper into the pocketbook this year as well. So it's got my stamp of approval.
Well, Mets is bringing up right here. It just sucks that the NCAA can't put this much effort into getting other sports going. Well, here's one answer to that, Mets. Money. Money. Is it going to make them more money? And that's kind of the big thing. And Voldy, you just said it. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Hunt's right here. Mississippi State is having 25% of fans. Florida's going to have 2,500 fans for both men and women. Those are the only two schools I've heard about fans. And honestly, I just think
SEC, man.
Yeah.
It's the Wild West down there.
It's the Wild
West.
West.
Making up their own rules.
Yep. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I think it's all got my stamp of approval. So Maddie, what are you saying? What you're saying is when you get down to the nuts and bolts of the tournament, that's executing successfully is dependent on an effective bubble. New idiom for you. Bubble strategy. Exactly. No, I know. I agree. I think I can use that one too when you get down to the nuts and bolts. I like that one. That's good. Thank you, Ethan. All right. Last one. Voldy.
Well, it was this past Sunday that our favorite Drew Brees got himself injured in a contest against the San Francisco 49ers, but still ended up with a victory. Ended up finishing with multiple rib fractures and a collapsed lung on his right side, which did force him out of the contest as well for the New Orleans Saints. Still coming out with a win, bringing him backup quarterback, their third quarterback on the team, infamous Jameis Winston into the contest as well. And it's looking like, and it is looking like, that Jameis Winston going to be the starter this coming Sunday for the ANITS, with Taysom Hill still heavily in the offense as well. Not going to be the starting quarterback, at least not for the time being until, Drew Brees is long and gone for the Saints as well. Now, is it absurd or approved? The Saints will suffer with Jameis Winston at quarterback.
Oh, Voldy. I just, anything involving our guy, infamous Jameis, he's going to screw this up. And the reason why he's going to screw this up, it's got my stamp for because Jameis is Jameis, okay? He's very happy because he's eating the W and everything like that. But he's sitting on the bench. Drew Brees is doing all the work. Kamara's doing all the work. I'll be good. I've got Michael Thomas on fantasy. Let Winston throw. You might not like saying that, Hunt, for one, because it's infamous Jameis. We know how it goes here on MinneZona Sports Live with infamous Jameis. But it's the only option they have. Apparently Taysom Hill is going to be switching back for any chance for... Oh, my God. Any chance for Jameis versus the Vikings. It would be pretty nice to get a couple turnovers, true. For a second there, Cole, I thought you said infamous Jameis to the Vikings, and I was probably going to drive all the way over to Eau Claire and just backhand you, okay? I hate to say that there's with violence here, but don't you ever say, no one ever say infamous Jameis to the Vikings. But It's the only option they have now, and, Jameis is going to throw, and, he racks up yards, but you know what he also does? He throws bad interceptions. He fumbles the ball. He steals crab legs, okay? It's infamous Jameis. But, yeah, I feel like he's going to screw something up, but, again, if he keeps handing the ball off to Kamara and doing what he's supposed to do instead of stealing crab legs. So, it's got my stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you think?
To use one of my favorite sayings that is a little bit on the PG side, this guy could screw up a wet dream. I'll tell you right now, infamous James going to find a way to screw this up. If only Alvin Kamara could just be the quarterback, or Taysom Hill too. I mean, Taysom Hill could, save his legs for a little bit and not take as many hits by being a pure quarterback as well. Alvin Kamara could work he could work the Wildcat a little bit more. But I think infamous Jameis is certainly going to do more harm than good. And it may be just one of those, just give the ball to Kamara and let it have it, and don't throw the football at all. We'll have to wait and see. I think it's going to be a detriment to the Saints in the long run.
They should have found a way to hold on to Teddy. Okay, they should have found a way to hold on to Teddy.
5-0 with the Saints, man. 5-0.
Instead,
just let them walk.
Right. Instead, I mean, yes, they play the Falcons, and the Falcons haven't been that good this year. But just the fact that infamous Jameis, when you get to the nuts and bolts and everything like that with Jameis Winston, he'll find a way to screw this up. They might win against Atlanta, but if he has to continue to play, they might have to say, screw it. Screw it. We're going to go with Taysom Hill because I can't handle this. And infamous Jameis, just be ready to go. Don't throw any picks. Don't fumble. Okay, just hand the ball off. Hand the ball off. Do the smart thing. That's all I got to say. Teddy wasn't worth that kind of money. Well, Teddy hasn't been doing too bad with Carolina. Dr. Dippin' Dots. He's dipping dots. Yeah, Teddy B. Dip them dots. That's all I got to say. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for ARA, I believe, Voldy. And it's time for Voldy. We missed this past week. Or the last week. No Shield shoutouts. But guess what? We're doing Shield shoutouts tonight. Before we get to that, Winston threw 7 touchdowns to the opposing team's defense last year. Exactly. That's why I'm loving this. By the way, I wouldn't put it past the Vikings to trade for trade for Winston. We traded a first for Bradford. Cole.
A first and a fourth.
Cole, just don't. Stop doing this to me, man. Stop doing this to me. All right, let's get to Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, we're back with some Shield shoutouts. So, Voldy, who ya shouting out tonight?
Well, I do have to give a Shield shout-out first off to my uncle Ethan Flatten for pointing this out to me. It was early this previous week, not this last week, but the week before, after we had done the show the last time I was on. Former Wild player Mark Parrish and Northland Vodka, locally distilled in Minnesota, with the profits from Northland Vodka going towards, from the sales, going towards local hockey programs in Minnesota as well. Got to actually, my uncle Ethan actually got to get a bottle signed from Mark Parrish as well. So if you're looking for a new spirit to try out as well, try out locally distilled Northland Vodka. Is big in the Twin Cities metro area as well. Have to go a little bit looking as well around this area to try and find a bottle as well. Since it is named Northland Vodka, it's bottled and locally here in Minnesota, and it's also in North Star colors as well with the labeling on it as well. So try it out, and if you do find a bottle, let us know if it's any good as well with Northland Vodka. Of course, it goes right towards helping out local hockey programs in the state of Minnesota. So a big Shield shout out to Northland Vodka and former Minnesota Wild player Mark Parrish as well. We go to sticking with hockey as well. This past week, Adidas Hockey and the NHL unveiled the teaser and the full lineup of the reverse retro jerseys for the entire league as well. And they did not disappoint, especially with the Minnesota Wild rocking the North Star colors once again. Some old favorites that were hated initially back, and they are being loved by fans across the entire hockey hemisphere as well. I mean, you've got great classics from the Anaheim Ducks, the Phoenix Coyotes, the Dallas Stars. I mean, anybody and everybody. The old logos that were just one-hit wonders are back once again. Reverse retro jerseys for the NHL. I want every single one of them in my closet right now. It's going to cost a little bit, but it will certainly be worth it as well. So a huge Shield shout-out to Adidas Hockey and the NHL for making this happen for every team in the NHL to get a sweet reverse retro jersey.
Nice.
They also stick with the NHL for Shield shoutouts, and including the Florida Panthers for naming assistant GM Brett Peterson, marking the NHL's very first African-American assistant GM, as it was announced on Tuesday as well. The game continues to press forward in that direction with Hockey is for Everyone, a big initiative that they have had for at least the last 10, 15 years as well. So congratulations to Brett Peterson for being named Florida Panthers assistant GM going into this season. Do have to send a special Shield shout-out to the newlyweds, Cody and Megan Curtis, who did get tied the knot this past weekend as well. Luckily enough, myself and creative content coordinator, or creative consultant, I should say, Mrs. Sarah Ann Toorsfold, for being a part of the wedding as well, to spend time, make some new friends as well. It was a great time down in Illinois to have some fun and, also celebrate those two lovebirds as well. I think they're still in Jamaica right now on the honeymoon, and they're certainly not letting us know of how much fun it is down there. Also got to give a Shield shout out to my guys, Garrett, Chris, and Ramiro as well, showing us good time down in Illinois. It's too much fun this past week, so congrats to the Curtises and my guys, fellow groomsmen, Garrett, Chris, and Ramiro as well. Still got a few more Shield shout-outs here. We'll try to get through them here as quick as possible. Congratulations by old sports director at KJAM Radio, that being Sue Bergheim. She was named a South Dakota Football Coaches Association Friend of Football, as she works tirelessly with the news department at my old radio station with her family. And, of course, helping me, especially early on in my news gathering knowledge and career as well. She's been a big help and a really good friend over these last few years as well. And also her son, Carter Bergheim, was named All Dakota 12, All Conference, All State, and All Academic All State for the Madison Bulldogs in Class 11A over in South Dakota. He's been a real good kid from the few years that I've known him. Still doesn't want to smile when they take family pictures. That's all right. So a big Shield shout out to the Bergheims on their success over this past year as well. I do have to give a Shield shout out on a fantastic 35-year career to a good friend, now going to be a former KTTC TV sports director, Pat Lund, who is going to be hanging them up after this fall season. No better deserved time off for all the years of enjoying local high school sports, college sports as well, anything and everything. Old Pat Lund was right there from the very beginning. So congrats to the old pirate himself, Pat Lund, on a 35-year career, hanging them up as sports director for the NBC affiliate down in Rochester. And I also got to give a Shield shout-out to my alma mater, Byron High School as well, the football team. Just coming up a little bit short against rival Casson Manorville last night, falling in the Section 1 4A final against the rival Casson Manorville Comets in the section championship game, losing 7-0 this past Tuesday. But a great season that they had as well. Some kids on that team are going to be going on to play college sports as well. Really good program that Coach Ben Halder has built up over the last few years as well. Expecting great things for years to come for the old Byron Bears, and that's going to do it for Shield shout-outs this week.
Whew, that was a lot of them this week here, Voldy.
It's been a couple of weeks. You expect a lot of
that's true. That's very true. But I want to get back to the jerseys, the retro jerseys. Yeah. That wild one, Voldy. I assume you're adding that to your collection, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I have a couple of those. I still got to figure out maybe that Kaprasov guy for sure. I'll definitely have him.
Ooh, now that Man, shoot, we got to look into that. We're looking into that right now. But the jersey's fantastic. But anyway, great job with Shield. Shoutouts, as always, Voldy. And just because I know the campaign of Let Voldy Hear hasn't been talked about in a while. But Voldy, I was able to get something from the archives of the Sports Zone back on Mustang Radio. And some of you people from SMSU know what I'm talking about with this one. It's the old Shield Shoutouts intro. It's this one.
It's time for Shield Shoutouts. Ka-shing, ka-shing.
As a train's going by, too.
Shield Shoutouts.
Come on!
Ka-shing, ka-shing.
Shut up out there!
It's the old Shield Shoutouts. It's time for Shield Shoutouts. Ka-shing, ka-shing. We gotta love that. So I just wanted to play that. Obviously, you can't hear it, but we'll still find a way to make sure you can hear that. Just one of our favorites. I'm still undefeated as head coach against Byron for baseball. Ooh, well, okay. Woo, I guess. The Carolina jersey is a Hartford version. Ooh, yeah, I did see the Carolina one. That
The Whale
was fire.
Show, baby. Love the Hartford Whalers.
Yeah.
Love it.
You gotta love it. So, anyway, we got to get to a couple more things. Obviously, Q&A Thursdays. Zoners, make sure you check out Q&A Thursdays on the Instagrams. We'll get it set up. You ask a question. I answer. Voldy answers. We keep it rolling. It's been good the past couple weeks, so I've been very impressed with the Zoners. Yeah, let's keep it going, as Voldy is saying right now. And also, if you don't have a MinneZona t-shirt, you should get one because why the heck not, as the Curve Doctor likes to say. It's $20, $5 shipping. It can be sent, wherever you want. You can talk to Jimbo. You can talk to me. You can talk to Voldy. You can talk to the Curve Doctor. There's so many options. There's too many options. So if you don't have a shirt, we can get you a shirt. Double trouble. Anyway, make sure you check out Get a Shirt. Check out W2 Performance, by the way. But the Barbell Nerds with Will Rattel. I know Wiseman didn't get drafted, but hey, you know what? We got Edwards, so I got to get Will's thoughts on that. We got to get Will back on the show as well. He's keeping up to date with his podcast. New episodes, I believe, are every week or whatnot, but I'll check with Will on that. Anyway, W2 Performance, the Barbell Nerds. Check out their podcast. And Jack Kiesling, Jack's Junkyard. Make sure you check his stuff out. He's been posting new videos every week, I think, too, from what I understand. So we're sharing his stuff. We're liking his stuff because why the heck not? We appreciate our zoners. Ball was drafted to the Hornets. Does that mean we'll get LeVar versus MJ now? Probably not. Sorry.
Sign it up.
And honestly, I would love to see LeVar get his ass kicked. Okay. Pardon my language, but
Gotta happen.
Let's make it happen.
Must see TV.
yeah, must see TV, Voldy. Exactly. So, anyway, that's gonna do it for MinneZona Sports Live this week. We will. I think it's Thanksgiving next week, so I don't know if we'll be back, but we'll figure something out. MJ tweeted about it. Wow, MJ tweets now? I didn't even know that. Ooh, we'll have to see. I guess we'll have to see.
It's gotta happen.
It's gotta happen now, so we'll keep our eyes on that. But that's gonna do it for MinneZona Sports Live, and remember, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.